Well, hello everyone, and welcome in to another Saturday night here at the Six Screens. Well, my name's Rick Farron, and I am coming to you from the apostate capital of the world, right up here in Boston. And we are so happy. We are so happy that we're seeing so many people coming in here tonight. More and more people every week are joining the Six Screens Telenetwork. They want to see what's going on. Well, we have got some great things happening here tonight. You just heard from Barbara Anderson, and what amazing that was. She had her husband on with her, and she's doing a great job. We all love Barbara. And I have to tell you that we've got some different things we're doing here tonight, and I want you to see it. We have a duck that's going to come down. In fact, he's right here. There he is right there. Now, you notice right on the other side of that duck is a $20 bill. Yeah, now that $20 bill could be yours. Here it is right there. You see it on there, see him right there. So there's a $20 bill on that duck. If you say the secret word tonight, the duck will come down and he'll give you the $20. We'll mail it off to you. So that's what I want to say. So we do have a secret word tonight. If anyone says it tonight, we'll mail them the $20. So by all means, call into the program. Call into the program. I know you'll find it very, very fascinating. Boy, I have to tell you, it is so enjoyable to come on here every Saturday night, and we've been doing it now for 18 years. And you know, we have not missed a program in 18 years. We are here because you are here. Yeah, in real time, being able to call in and talk to some of the people on the telephone line, as well as myself, about your trek in the Watchtower. So how good it is that you can come in and be with us. What I do is I give the news, JW World News. I give you the top stories in the Watchtower, all of the critical stories that are going on behind the curtains of that crazy organization. And every week, I want to thank all the people that send me information. Every week I get it. I get information about the Jehovah's Witnesses and what they're doing, what they're planning on. I try to get all of the best. It's like a clearinghouse here for the news. So thank all of those that send me news clips, emailing me. They do it in Messenger. They do it on Facebook. They do it on my text. They call me. Thank you. Thank you for doing that, because that helps me keep right up to date on what's going on behind the curtains. Well, a lot to talk about tonight, as I say, an awful lot to talk about, but let's talk about this, the real reason for no more time reporting. Have you thought about it? I've been thinking a lot about it. As a matter of fact, it kind of keeps me awake at night when I think about it. It's something that I wake up some nights and I say, why would they stop what is the real reason for no more time reporting? Well, I have to say this. I think that the numbers of individuals reporting hours in the Jehovah's Witness religion, it's way down. I mean, it's way down. It's hilarious and it's pathetically low. So one of the reasons why I'm thinking they're having the witnesses not having to report time anymore is it's pathetically low for 2023. And so they don't want to report any time at all for 2023 in hopes they can cover up what's going on. But only time will tell. We'll have to see if it really does mean that or not. But I have other thoughts too. That's just one thought I have on why they're not reporting time any longer. Well, it's an easy way to cover up the low hours if we just stop counting them, right? Stop and think about it. What could be easier? Just eliminate it. I'm sure the governing body sat down and discussed this and said, well, gee, our numbers are dropping. So the best way to really do this is just don't report it at all. The figures look terrible. So how are they going to be able to report this to the people? They are trying to stabilize. I believe right now the Jehovah's Witnesses Watchtower, I believe they're trying to stabilize the numbers before they dip below 8 million. They can't go below 8 million. I mean, the witnesses have been bragging. They have been really pushing the thought that, oh, we have 8.5 million Jehovah's Witnesses, and if it drops below 8, oh my goodness, that's a half a million witnesses that would be missing. And I have to tell you, I would wager to say that the witnesses have lost that many people in the last year. I mean, in the last year and a half, I would say they've lost a half a million people. So get rid of the time. Don't report any time. Let's not turn slips in. We're gonna get in trouble. The witnesses are gonna say, what is going on? So I believe that they're converting numbers from inactive statistics. In other words, they can make now that people don't have to report time, they can even say they have more witnesses, right? So also, that's just one thought I have. I mean, don't take it totally to the bank and cash it. That's just my thought. That's just my preliminary thought here, why they stopped reporting time. Now, another thing is, I want you to think about this. Put your thinking cap on. It could be some legal tax issue with reporting volunteer members. Yeah, the government, did you hear they're going to put on 80,000 new IRS agents? Maybe the Watchtower is getting a little nervous about that. So, when you stop and think about it, are these people out pushing their magazines at the cart work and going door to door? Are they really volunteers? Or could the IRS, could they say that they're workers? Yeah, you work for the Watchtower. And taxes might be involved here too. And also I'm thinking of a legal issue here that might also come into play. We know that the Pennsylvania grand jury investigation is currently going on. They're investigating every single congregation in Pennsylvania for covering up child abuse. So this could also come into play, why they are telling the publishers they don't have to report time anymore. Now you would say, well, Rick, how does that come into play? What does that have to do with the Pennsylvania grand jury investigation? Well, stop and think about it. The Watchtower keeps monthly activity records. How many hours are being reported, how many Bible studies are being reported. They're keeping active monthly records on people that have been accused of child sex abuse. This doesn't look good for the witness organization. They don't want these people to really be totally connected to the Watchtower. So by keeping monthly activity records, it shows the courts that, hey, listen, you guys are, the culprit here. You're kind of accessory into the crime. These people are closer to you than you lead us to believe. So that's one thing. Now, another plausible reason is that every time Watchtower goes to court to defend themselves against actions of the members, they claim that they're not in control of the membership and they don't make directions. Well, we know that's all a crock of baloney, right? So that's what they're trying to defend themselves from in court. They're saying, look, we're not in total control of the membership, and we don't make all of their directions. You see, because keeping records on timekeeping leaves the Watchtower open to accusations, that is, that members are being directed and could even have tax implications as the rank and file is seen as free labor. So we talked about that too. I mean, really, right now in the court systems, Uber, the car riding company, and Lyft, they've been facing IRS charges. Are these people employees? Are they subcontractors? So the Watchtower is, picking up on a lot of this stuff. And they're doing things here, friends. The Watchtower is always going to do things in a sneaky way. They're going to make it always seem like it's for the benefit. It's for the benefit of the rank and file that we're doing this. And they have suggested that. Many witnesses have thought that, oh, isn't it so pleasant? Isn't it so nice that the Watchtower reduced the hours? We don't have to listen in. We don't have to put our time in anymore. And isn't that nice of the Watchtower? And look at the money we're going to save. No. They're not doing anything to help you. They're doing something here to cover their own butt. I'm telling you right now, anything for the corporation. Taking away timekeeping, as you rank and file know, has nothing to do with helping you. It's helping the Watchtower organization. So that's my thoughts on that. So you can do with it what you want. But this idea of, in fact, a lot of witnesses are saying, oh, how nice the Watchtower is, the reducing time. And I even have another good reason. We'll discuss it later on in our program. Another good reason why perhaps we all have theories on it. So, maybe you have a theory on it. As a matter of fact, if you do, and you'd like to even speak up right now, well, why do you think they stopped reporting time? Does anyone want to comment on that at all? Go ahead if you like. You're on with us. Hit star.
Yes,
yeah, go ahead.
Rick.
Yes, go ahead, Michael. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're on with us. Go ahead.
Oh, hi, Rick. Rick, it's Tim here. I'm not sure if
Oh, okay.
Michael
I'm sorry, Tim.
there.
I'm sorry, Tim. Yep.
No problem. I was going to say, if that was a multiple choice question you were putting up about why they stopped it, I would say D, all of the above. I'd say all of these things are a factor. The whole hours going down. They're trying to save face. When a liar justifies a lie, they always have so-called good reasoning behind it. They will say, well, they don't want to discourage the rest of the brothers by showing a bad report, so they'll hide it. But anyway, that's all I've got on that. I just think all of the things you said, it's all factors.
Well, Tim, thank you. Thank you for commenting. Always good to hear from Tim. Thank you, Tim. Let's go. It looks like 718. Looks like, go ahead. I believe you're on with us, Shirley. Yes.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, Rick, for Barbara, when Barbara was on in the chat, everything was fine. Now, and if you take a look, because Carrie and I are saying there is no audio at all in the chat at all. I don't know, you knocked something out. You see there, we're talking about where's the sound, but in the chat, there's no audio. I see the names listed on the side, but after Barbara and them, and you did your reboot or whatever you did, there's no audio, there's no picture of you. There's no audio at all.
Well, there isn't. Can someone confirm that, please? On
if you read the chat, you can see me and Carrie. We're going back and forth and stuff. It's not what happened. It's somebody else.
Well, they're saying sound is okay here. Can you see me? Can you see the video, folks?
No, your picture's not there on Firefox or Chrome. There's no audio.
No, you're not there. You're not. The whole thing is shut down except the chat.
Yeah.
Well, hold on one second, folks. People are saying they can hear the audio's fine, full audio and picture, so it's got to be on your end.
I rebooted and came back on, and Carrie's like, she's telling me, I called her, and
no, I rebooted, and there's nothing there but the chat area.
Nothing there but chat. Yeah, no picture of you and no audio.
Well, everybody take a look at the chat right now. They're all saying it's fine. The picture's there.
On the chat, they're saying it's fine. Where on the chat?
Where?
You're on YouTube. I'm talking on the chat.
YouTube is fine.
YouTube is fine.
Well, what are you talking about? On the 6 screens suite?
The video.
Yeah.
I mean the suite.
Well, but the suite. No, the suite is not always going to have pictures. The suite is not.
No, it's empty.
No.
It's empty. It's empty.
We can't hear you.
You can't hear
We
me.
can't hear nor see you. There's nothing.
All right. Well, just give me a second to get back in there. That's why the suite. I want everybody to know that's why we have Facebook now, and the suite will eventually disappear because there's a lot more work on my part here to get that all up and running. So if you guys could just bear with me, I'll get it up and going. But eventually, probably I keep saying it's going to be ending shortly, and it will end shortly. It's just we can't.
But it was there when Barbara and her husband were on. Everything was fine until you switched over.
All right. Well, let's see what happens. So let's see if the chat is on. I'm in here right now. But this suite has been really a source of aggravation. I mean, I like it, but geez, we got YouTube now, and why can't people just go on YouTube and chat? It'd be so much easier for me here, especially. So
Because we have friends in the suite.
It's a
We've been,
different group of
I mean, the
people over
suite
there.
is the backbone of,
yeah. Now can you hear me in there now?
yeah, I can hear you now.
All right, so let's make it clear.
Yeah,
In other
I
words,
can see you now.
Okay, all right, let's.
That's a shame that you're going to let that go.
Well, do you want?
This was your original.
Yeah,
platform.
well, it's costing me, close to $500 a year to have it. So why do I need it? I mean, it's nice that we have it and people can talk, but we're on YouTube, we're on Facebook, we're all over. So it's a costly thing, but it's not even the money. I'm not even worried about the money. What I'm worried about is it's just you setting this thing up and all the different networks we're on and the video suite and people say they can't hear and the picture's not there. I mean, it's just unbelievable, All right.
Okay.
All right.
Carry on.
All right. Well, let's carry on. But I mean, I just want people to know, I've been telling you that I want you to start switching over to YouTube and some of our other platforms. It's too much of it's difficult putting this all up. Okay. Anyways, back to work here. All right. So anyways, for those listening in, sorry for the little bit of delay there, but we have a video suite here that people come in on, and they've been coming in for many years. But now that YouTube has gone, it's gone like live streaming. It's 10,000 times better. People can see me. They can see what's going on. You can chat in there. And for the most part, in the video suite, they don't really discuss what we're discussing. It's always like something else. It's like a private chat room for them. So anyways, we're thinking about closing that down. So don't worry. I mean, I'll give you a bit of a notice, but I would say in the next couple of months, it probably would be gone. All right. So let's see what else we get going on here. Let me get into my telephone line. And okay, active speakers. Did someone else want to come in? We got 312 from Chicago. What do you want to say, 312?
Hey, Mr. Farron, this is Stephen.
Yes.
I want to say that I have to totally agree with the gentleman that just spoke, all of the above, because we know that Watchtower is notorious for not changing things. It takes them really decades to address things, and they still haven't addressed many of their wrong teachings. But when they address something as quickly as what they're trying to do at the time, that lets you know that money is involved, reputation is involved, lawsuits, that kind of thing. So I couldn't tell you exactly, but I would imagine it's probably all three.
Yeah, it could be all three. Yeah, I'll go with you. Very good, Stefan. I agree with you. Thank you for your comments. Let's go to 817. Go ahead, 817. You're on with us. I'll unmute you. 817. You want to speak? Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, sir. This is Max calling from Texas. My thought, Rick, on this is that forget about the hours to report. Nobody really cares about that, how many hours and all that stuff. But what would be interesting and important to them is if you put the number of total publishers. Now that would be something they do not want to let out, because if the number of publishers have gone down, then they would have to put that number in there where all would see.
Well, yeah, so that would be reason for them to say, forget about it, right? Yeah, so I mean, why? In other words, it's just a way to say, hey, who needs it? It's just creating issues for us. All right, thank you. Thank you. We appreciate it.
Hey, Sherry.
Go ahead, Chewy. You're on with us. Go ahead.
Yeah, we talked about this a little bit earlier, and I'm still of the same thing, of the same mind. And I went back and I watched that thing on one of the YouTube videos, and it's not Jeffrey Jackson that said it. It was Mark Sanderson, who said that they would no longer have scripted presentations. Scripted presentations. They said they would work with the pioneers a little bit, but overall, no more scripted presentations. If you're not going to have scripted presentations, you don't need, and if you don't have any hours, if you're not counting hours, there's no need to work the territory like we used to work it. Because why would you do that if it's all personal? They're going to do away with that. I mean, it's coming. It may still be there, but it's coming. And then a lot of the meeting parts were geared toward scripted presentations. That's what they had. They're not going to have those anymore, according to Mark Sanderson. So it's a very changing dynamic. And the other thing that I picked up when I listened to it again, I never thought I would hear this. But the way, when he was talking about Jesus and he said, Jesus is the way, Jesus, what was the other one? Oh, and how Jesus was born again. The voice inflection that he used on that. It's not necessarily that he said it, but the voice inflection that went along with that. He was talking to those terminologies in a positive way. And you do that 10 years ago, or even now before I grasp it. I mean, you do that and you walk into there, you say, Jesus is the way. Oh, I'm born again. They're going to look at you funny. But Mark Sanderson said it right from the platform. And he was kind of, he had some goosebumps when he said it. You know, he was liking what he said. He had a smile on his face. It wasn't negative. That's all I got. Thanks.
Well, Chewy, no, you're right. You're right with that. You would be years ago. You couldn't make a statement like that, but now we have the governing body man saying it. So good comment. Thank you very much, Chewy. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Boy, I'll tell you what, the Watchtower is changing. Don't you notice it? Come on now, folks. You guys have been listening and been a Watchtower person for many years. Many on this program have been in the organization for over 40, 50 years. You could not get away with what they're getting away with today. Well, anyways, you're on JW World News. That's the news the Watchtower doesn't want us talking about. But I'll tell you something I want to talk about right now. Something right now that is really blowing my mind. How many times are they going to keep adjusting, revising the Shepherd the Flock book? Now, I have counted twice a year. They've done it for the last 6 years. They keep revising, keep updating, call it what you want, the Shepherd the Flock book. It's a good thing you don't print hard copies every time they change this book. Otherwise, you'd fill a whole library with them. I mean, seriously, this is absolutely crazy. Don't the elders think that, doesn't Jehovah direct this organization? Why would they keep changing and revising the flock book? Friends, I'm telling you, it's because the world, the governments, the people are catching up with the Watchtower. I have to tell you, it's just absolutely amazing that this is happening. And, I got the revisions here. Anyone wants the new revisions, send me an email at jwworldnews@gmail.com. I'll be glad to send you the new revision, and you can check it all out. But, there's some things I went through this week. I'm looking at, some of the changes they made in the Shepherd the Flock book. But the first thing that caught my attention is when it talks about child pornography. Yeah, child pornography. That's illegal. You could go to jail. You go to prison for many years for viewing that. But this is just another abhorrent pornography. They don't look at child pornography. That is the Watchtower. According to the Flock book, they don't look at child pornography any differently than they look at gay porn. And nothing is written about rushing a person off who is viewing child pornography to the police. Friends, that's horrifying. They're treating it as though it's not really that big of an issue. They're not even going to have a judicial hearing about it unless it's really an ongoing thing. But just viewing it once should create an issue. It really should create a judicial committee issue. But let me do something right here. Let me see if I can't get this up for you, because I want to read this to you. This is right out of the Flock book. Let me see if I can't get you guys to understand exactly what they're saying about child pornography. I think you'll find it rather fascinating. It says that, okay, here's right out of the Flock book. And it's Article 12, Article 11, it is under sex. It says here, although viewing child pornography is not considered to be child sexual abuse from a congregation standpoint, it is still a serious violation of Jehovah's standards. A person involved in viewing child pornography should be strongly counseled depending on the frequency and the events of his viewing. He could be subject to a congregation judicial action. So he could be subject. He's not automatically subject, but he could be subject. But I really have to say that putting gay porn and other pornography too, and child porn in the same category, to me, that's mentally diseased. It really is. Someone's thinking is not correct. I mean, the sheer numbers of pages dedicated to the sex lives of their members is overwhelming. The media could do an article just dedicated to Jehovah's Witness organization obsession with sex. It's absolutely nutty. Think about this. A person is watching a child get raped. That is basically what child pornography is. So basically the Watchtower is treating it, and it's okay. We're not going to make a big issue out of it. Now, this is the same organization. May I remind you, this is the same organization that used to tell the sisters not to watch soap operas. Do you remember that? I mean, witnesses could not even watch a soap opera, but yet they're taking this gentle position on child pornography. What a filthy religion the Jehovah's Witnesses have got. It's just absolutely crazy. Now I see some other changes here in the new Elders Flock book. Shepherd the Flock. That's the secret elders book in the Jehovah's Witness organization. And now, I mean, that book is available online to everybody. Even governments are beginning to look at it. As a matter of fact, they're seeing how abhorrent, how bizarre the Watchtower is with this secret manual. This is going to indict them. This Elder of the Flock book could be the thing that really puts the Watchtower in deep doo-doo. Now, in the new manual, in the new revised manual, there's a clause in there, but you got to kind of look for it, but I found it. There's a clause in the new Elders Manual that says that you can still have contact with disfellowship family members. Yeah, there's a clause in there that says that you can have contact with disfellowship family members. So what they're doing here is they're sneaking that clause in. Now, they haven't told the rank and file about this new light, but they snuck it into the new revision here in the Flock book. They're conveniently putting it there to show to the governments that we don't shun family members. What hypocrisy. What lies. These guys are unbelievable. See, but they haven't told the rank and file, but they're putting it there kind of in the Elders Manual so that they ever go to court. Like the country of Norway right now is examining the witnesses and questioning them, interrogating them about their shunning practices. So now they put in the Flock book, well, see, we don't shun people. What a lie that is. So, that's another thing I found in the new revised book. Now, another thing that I found really fascinating, and you guys all know this, at one time, if you committed suicide, if you were Jehovah's Witness and you committed suicide, there was no way that you could have a funeral at a Kingdom Hall. Did you know that? I think most listening to this program do know that. So now they're opening up the possibility for someone who dies by suicide to have a funeral in the hall. Now, I'm sure there's a lot of, they're leaving it kind of up to the elders, and I'm sure there's a lot of old school, hardcore elders that they will probably disapprove of it. But in the Flock book here, they're suggesting that this is now possible. Before you couldn't. There was no way that you committed suicide that your family could have a funeral for you in the Kingdom Hall. Now, I believe this is a step at least in the right directions. But, the Watchtower has taken such an odd position on this. And they've always said that, no, you cannot do that. So, they would always look, the strangest thing about it, when you think about a person committed suicide, and there's a lot of witnesses right now that are committing suicide, and many listening to this program have friends. You have friends that have committed suicide in the Watchtower organization. And the Watchtower always spoke abusively of people that committed suicide. Friends, when people commit suicide, there's something going on mentally. It's not a disease. It's something that's going on, the emotions, the mental condition that a witness finds himself in. And the witness organization never looked at it in that way. They always just felt the person was mentally diseased or wrong or something's matter with the person. And they would always say that the suicide victim wouldn't be resurrected. They actually called suicide at one time in the Watchtower. They said that suicide was a form of murder. And to be forgiven, one must repent. Now, if you commit suicide, friends, you don't have the opportunity to repent for your sin of murder was because you are dead. You're now dead. How could you have the chance to repent? So if you didn't repent from such a heinous sin as murder, there's no hope for you. You cannot be forgiven, and thus you now have your fate sealed. You're not coming back in the resurrection according to the witnesses. Your funeral memorial could not be held at a kingdom hall in the past because you were unrepentant sinner that died knowing that you were doing, knowing what you did is no opportunity for forgiveness, if you understand what I'm saying. So I wouldn't be surprised. And I'm just thinking out loud here, but I don't know. I think you guys might be thinking the same thing I'm thinking. So wouldn't we all be surprised if they brought this idea of now, if you commit suicide, yes, for the most part, you can have a funeral at a kingdom hall. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if it's because more poor Jehovah's Witnesses are committing suicide rather than having to face leaving and losing their entire world. There's a lot of witnesses that are killing themselves. So the Watchtower is aware of this. And I'm thinking that it's very awkward for the Watchtower because what if a person who committed suicide, I want you to think about this. What if a person who committed suicide, they were Jehovah's Witness, and they committed suicide, but they left a Watchtower in the will? Well, if Watchtower wouldn't let them have a funeral at the Kingdom Hall, would they accept the money that was left to them in the will? So maybe because I'm just thinking out loud, I'm thinking that more and more witnesses are probably killing themselves and more witnesses are probably leaving the Watchtower in their will. But wouldn't it be kind of awkward for the Watchtower to accept the money? Just think family members would say, well, listen, John left all his money to you, but you wouldn't even let him have a funeral. How would you answer something like that? So I'm just thinking, I know the way the Watchtower is. These guys are greedy bums. They're looking at all the angles. So I'm just thinking that something's a little crazy with that. Who'd like to come on and talk? You're on with us. Go ahead.
Hey, Rick, I just wanted to say, that different congregations, different elders, they do what they want to do anyway. 5 years ago, we had a Jehovah's Witness sister, is actually a girl my wife grew up with. They were kids together, and they had it in the Kingdom Hall in McLeod, Oklahoma. And and they even had disfellowship ones come and sit up front and everything, and they talked to them. I was a little shocked seeing them talk to the disfellowship ones, but some congregations will do things differently. And I will always remember telling the mom to this sister that committed suicide that this is so bad, to lose your daughter this way, and not long ago you lost your son the same way.
Well, that's sad, Randy. That's awful sad. But now, of course, they're taking a new stance on it. a new stance, and I'm not sure why they are, but in the elders book, the new elders book, they're changing their position. Boy, I'll tell you. And then also another thing, I've been, studying this new elders book revision, and I'm finding a lot of crazy things, and they keep updating it. Like I say, I've counted twice in a year for the last 6 years, they revised the elders books and that shepherd book. So now what I understand is, in disasters, let's just talk about disaster relief in the Watchtower. We know that they're even a little shady when it comes to disaster relief. But now the elders have been telling the publishers that it's okay to send family members money in a natural disaster. But why would you have to get permission? Or why would the Watchtower have to say it's okay for you? Okay, so you have friends in Puerto Rico or Dominican Republic, and a hurricane hits. And so you want to send your friends or maybe your relatives a few bucks to help them out. The Watchtower says that'll be okay. Why would you have to get permission from the Watchtower or get their approval before you would send money? It just doesn't. I mean, this organization, they are going to control you from the cradle to the grave. It's unbelievable. Let's go with 315. You're on with us. What do you have to say tonight?
Hello, Rick. This is Joe.
Yes, Joe.
How are you? We
Good.
just found out from a good friend in Long Island that at their local, the Flushing assembly, that a 5-year-old was baptized.
A 5-year-old.
A 5-year-old.
Does that surprise you, Joe?
Well, it shocks me. I'm concerned for the future of that child, and it almost comes across as like child exploitation.
Well, it would appear that way, doesn't it? Huh? It does appear that way, that it would be like child exploitation. Now that 5-year-old child will be subject, if they don't want to adhere to the teachings of the Watchtower, be subject to being disfellowshipped, and the family will not even talk to them. And the poor little kid, I mean, what do they know about religion? What do they know about even the Bible and the scriptures? That's a cruel thing to do to a kid.
Yeah, we thought so. Yeah, I think it's going to get a little more publicity.
Boy, I'll tell you, that's well, I've heard of a 6-year-old being baptized, but that's the youngest I ever heard. 5 years old? Geez, they must be getting desperate. Joe, don't
I think it's more and more shocking things. I really do.
Don't you think, Joe, that the elders or some official in the Watchtower would prevent that? Don't you think that they would step forward and say, no, that's a little too young. I think you better wait till a little older. But they're not. Well, what's this organization thinking? And they call us mentally diseased? Come on,
Yeah.
Boy.
Yes.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Joe.
Well, thanks. I just wanted to relate that.
Oh, that's a good story. Thank you. Go ahead, Chewy. You're on with us from Oklahoma. Go ahead, Chewy.
Well, how would that young 5-year-old, how could he or she, how could they even comprehend the baptismal questions? How could they say yes or no to even understand what they were saying yes or no to?
Well, Chewy, I mean, you're a logical-minded man. You can walk and chew gum. You're on the ball. But don't you think a witness brother would be on the ball and seeing a 5-year-old kid getting ready to be baptized? Don't you think they would stop it? I guess not.
Yeah, that's wild. I've never heard of that. That's wild. Wow.
In fact, I'll tell you what it's doing. I have mixed emotions about that. My emotions are running all over the map here with something like that. That is cruel. That's the first word that pops in my head. That's cruel. It's punishment. That child is being punished. That child isn't being glorified because they're being baptized. He's being, or he or she, I don't know if it's a girl or boy, but they're being punished, you know?
Yeah. Well, I can understand it if they were being baptized in the Catholic religion because they don't do nothing anyway. You know, it's not the same thing. It's not the same thing being baptized as a Catholic as it is a Jehovah's Witness. Everybody knows what.
Well, they're right. I mean, it's like apples and oranges. It's two different fruits,
Yeah.
really. Well,
Yeah.
thank you, Chewy. Always good to
Yeah.
hear from Chewy. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Yes. So, anyways, I don't know if you heard about it, but the Hamburg, Germany Kingdom Hall, well, it was sold. And I believe that was a good move by the Watchtower. I'll put a picture up just to remind you. Now, we all know what happened in Hamburg, Germany. I believe it was last June, I believe. I'm not sure, but somewhere around there. But I'll put a picture up so you can see it. This is the hall right here. You're seeing it right in front of you on YouTube and Facebook. That is the Kingdom Hall in Hamburg, Germany. And it is now being sold by the Watchtower. Now, that's okay. I will go along with them. I don't usually say the Watchtower is doing anything good, but I think it's it's good. It's not surprising to me because imagine if you had to go to that Kingdom Hall and you would be reliving the attack every time you came to meet there. No, it's a good thing. Watchtower. I'll give you a gold star for that one. Thank you for wanting to sell the Kingdom Hall in Hamburg. I mean, it's a wise move when you stop and think about it. I mean, PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder from that attack could be detrimental to the people. Can you imagine if you were there and your friends were all shot up by that killer? You couldn't handle it. You couldn't go to the meeting. So I have to say that kudos to you, Watchtower. Thank you. At least I'll give you credit for selling that one. But I know you're going to get as much money as you can. And it's not all about money in this instance, but you're still going to make out okay. Okay, we do have another caller on with us, 447. You want to say something? You're on with us. Go ahead. I think you're from England. Go ahead.
I think you're talking to me, Rick.
Yes.
It's Andy from the United Kingdom.
Yes, hi.
Good evening from the UK. I was listening into your YouTube feed as a listener, and you've made a few comments that just literally sent my blood boiling when you talk about suicide and money. I'm thinking of two things recently. My mother passed away in 2014. She was a Jehovah's Witness. And a couple of years before that, she went down to Godstone, which is in Surrey, in the UK, which is south of England. She went to visit my brother, who's a circuit overseer, and she went for the weekend to visit. And when she came back, I spoke with her a few days later, and she put me to one side and she said, Andy, I'm just letting you know that I've made a will. I went, okay, fine. And she'd made a will and she'd left all of her assets upon her death to Watchtower. What my brother had done, he'd orchestrated the visit. So when she arrived there, I've got a copy of that will, and it's signed by some senior figures. He prearranged so that when she arrived, arranging her will was part of the visit. And so she signed this will. Now, my opinion is if you die, you do whatever you want with your money, right? Okay, I think we all agree with that.
Yes, brother. I want you to come nice and close to the phone. We can hear you, but I want to hear you better. Can you come nice and close to the phone?
I beg your pardon.
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm speaking on an earpiece. I beg your pardon.
Well, that's good now. We can hear you better. Yep.
Okay, great. So my thought was, okay, great. Mom, you do whatever you want with your money. Okay. A couple of years later, my mother passed away. And we all turned up, obviously. Well, I was there at her death. I was there at the time, and everybody turned up. And my brother, my circuit overseer brother, he opened up the envelopes from her filing cabinet for her will, and he read them out, thinking that it was going to say that her estate was to be left to Watchtower. What he didn't know, and neither did I, she'd had a change of heart. But before he opened the envelope, we're all sitting in the living room, and everyone there is a Jehovah's Witness. I'm the only non-Jehovah's Witness. I left when I was 17. I left during my baptismal questions. I left before I made that dedication. I did the right thing. I had integrity. So I'm the only non-Jehovah's Witness there. And before he opened the brown envelope from my mother's filing cabinet, his wife, the circuit overseer's wife, who's quite frankly rather repugnant in my opinion, said, I won't mention my mother's name if you don't mind, but she said she was a woman of loyalty. And I'm just sitting there. He opened the envelope and he asked, would anybody like to read the will? And he passed it around, and I said, yeah, I'll read the will. And I read it, and I read the first line, and I couldn't believe I had an inner smile. My mother had had a change of heart and hadn't told anybody, and she changed her will and left her estate, as I think most parents would do, to her children. So she divided her estate amongst myself and my brothers and my sister. And so I read it out. And then you should have seen their faces. They were in shock, right? And but it led on. It was 3 years before it was settled because Watchtower contested the will. And I spent 3 years after the death of my mother. I wouldn't say I fought it. How do you fight? How do you fight your mother's will? I defended my position basically, and I received many communications from Watchtower, from their lawyers, and from my own brothers, my fleshly brothers, who suggested that I should obey my mother's original desire to leave her estate to Watchtower. And my comment was, listen, guys, clearly my mother had a change of heart. She put family before Watchtower. If you guys want to give your money to Watchtower, fill your boots. And I left it at that. And I've got a second comment, if I can make this quickly.
Yeah, before you make the second comment, I just wanted to ask you a question about your mom's will. Why did she have a change of heart?
Well, I wouldn't know that, would I? I don't have my mother's mind, but I think I'll say one thing about my mom. She believed in Watchtower. She believed in the Bible. But if I go back in time, my mother, before I was born, she didn't. It was a time when, okay, my father was a very strong character. My father became a Jehovah's Witness. My mother followed suit, if that makes any sense. She believed in the Bible. She believed in God. She followed suit. But I am aware that, well, let's put it like this. If my mother was alive today and I presented to her what I know now, I think she'd be horrified. But here's the deal, and I've mentioned this to my family. My mother could not have left Jehovah's Witnesses if she'd have wanted to. At the age of 82, she passed away. She was very ill. She was very weak. She had poor health. She had no option to leave Watchtower. I'm not suggesting that she wanted to, but she couldn't if she'd wanted to, because at 82 years old, her entire life was Watchtower. I know she wasn't comfortable about a few things. She didn't believe that everybody loved her for a start. She found it she often said, I don't believe everyone loves me. And I never understood that. Now I do, of course. But she couldn't have ever left, because imagine that. You're 82, all you know are Jehovah's Witnesses. If she'd have had a change of heart, she couldn't have demonstrated that by leaving, because she would have literally been alone. Who would do that at 82? Who would do that? who would self-deprecate themselves? You don't have she had no choice in the matter, quite frankly. But why she changed her heart? I'll tell you one reason, I think. My mother, she loved family. She loved the concept of family. And one of her, she wanted that family unit. And I know she wasn't comfortable with the fact that my two brothers, one's an elder, one's a secret overseer, they were always so busy. They never had time for her. She was always out of the loop kind of thing. And she desperately wanted that family unit. And I guess she feels the way I felt, that she was ambushed with the will when she went down to Godstone, which is an assembly hall, by the way. My brother, he had an apartment as a secret overseer above it. I think she felt ambushed. When she had time to reflect, clearly she decided, the organization doesn't need my money. Amount of money, I can't speak on the number, but she decided to leave it to her. She did what I think a normal mother would do, to take care of her chicks, you know.
Well, good for her. I'll tell you what, brother, I have to tell you that's a good story, and I'm glad that she reneged on giving it to them. Thank you for sharing that with us. That's good. Thank you, brother. Can
I just leave you with it? Can I leave you with a second thought before I go quickly?
Go ahead. Yeah, we only got a few. Go ahead. Yep. Do it quickly.
I'll make it 30 seconds. I had an elder on my driveway just after COVID, and I recognized him. He didn't recognize me. I recognized him from when I was a little kid. He looked like a ghost. But what is fascinating, he reminded me that I looked at all of the elders at the time when I was a 15-year-old boy, and I think we had 6 elders. He was one of them, and two of the wives of those elders both committed suicide. One of whom jumped off a bridge into the River Severn in Shropshire in the dead of night and drowned. So suicide is real, even at the level of elders and the wives of elders. Listen, I don't know that many that commit suicide, but if I had to count them on my hand, they would be Jehovah's Witnesses. So that's my
thank you, brother.
Thanks,
sorry to hear about your brother and the suicide. This is the first time you called in, I think. Yeah.
No, I've spoken a couple of times before.
Well, thank you very much for calling in. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much, brother. Well, anyways,
thanks, Rick, and have a great show.
Well, thank you very much. You're on the 6 Queens JW World News. That's the news the Watchtower doesn't want us talking about. We do have, looks like, okay, let's go. Let's move on. We got more to talk about here tonight. I just want to say I do see Nadine on here. Nadine, if you're listening, there was a little snafu. You got a Starbucks gift certificate coming. Somehow it messed up in your email, so I had to send it through the regular snail mail. So you look forward to it. You get the Starbucks gift certificate coming, Nadine. So sorry for the delay, but little snafu with the emailing e-cards. So there's some complications there, but we got it now. So anyways, I just have to say this. They are just constantly asking, that is the Watchtower, is constantly asking for donations. Now, even the midweek meeting, these guys are greedy bums, constantly asking for donations. Now they're asking for people to give them, put them in their wills. That they have this giving desk, and it always comes out around November, right around the end of the year, right before Christmas, when people get into a festive way. So the Watchtower now wants, people to, well, they have a giving desk. I'm going to tell you what they're looking for. They'll take anything. They'll take anything worthwhile. But they're sucking their members dry. Yeah, they're sucking their members dry. They're trying to get as much money in as possible. I know we talk about this a lot here on the 6 Screens. It's just absolutely unreal what's going on, and they keep asking and asking and asking. There's no question about it. They're basically saying that, you give to Jehovah, and Jehovah will make you rich, or Jehovah will bless you. I mean, it's the same thing many charlatan Christian organizations are saying too as well. So it's just absolutely crazy to me. You know, here it is. Most of the people in this organization, most of the members are living near poverty. Yeah, they're just scraping by, and they are guilt tripping people into donating more, saying it's to show one's heart condition. In other words, if you have a good heart condition toward Jehovah and to the organization, you'll give more money. So can it get more black and white about money? The organization is very clear. They want more. They want more seriously. They continue begging for money. It's just unbelievable. And if you're a witness listening in, I'm sure you'll agree to it. It's just absolutely crazy. But the most hilarious thing is when the governing body helper acknowledges how the economy is right now, but still goes on to say how important it is to donate to the organization. Really, the economy is bad, friends. A lot of people are hurting right now. You know, we used to be proud. I used to be proud to be one of Jehovah's Witnesses, proud of the fact that the Watchtower never begged for donations. Do you remember those days? Do you remember the days when the Watchtower, you know, we're not like other religions. We don't beg for donations. Man, have they made a 360 turn here. They must be feeling the pinch, Jeff. What do you think?
Yes, sir. That's what I was always told. And what I found out is, you know, that the witnesses always had that contribution box, but you know, since then, after I left Watchtower, I went to several other organizations after I wasn't scared to do it, you know, religious organizations. And they don't get their big money by passing a plate. It's private donations. And, you know, you always heard that, you know, in the Jehovah's Witnesses, we don't pass the plate. Well, that's not where they get their big money. Only people would, like in the Catholic Mass, they only put $1 on there. They're not going to put $100 or nothing or anything else. And when I went to some of these churches, one church I went to, a gal that her husband passed away, they had 2 farms, and she gave, when he passed away, she gave one of those farms to the church, that local church. And that's where they get their big donations.
Hold on one second, Jeff. Hold on one second, Jeff. Hold on one second. You just, the duck came down. You said the secret word. You said the secret word. The duck's coming down. You said the secret word, church. That was the secret word tonight. So the duck comes down, and let's see what the duck has here for you. Let's see what the duck has for you. Well, the duck here has the duck has a $20 bill here. There it is right there.
Oh, my God.
So, Jeff, we were going to send you the $20 bill, okay? You said the secret word. So the duck came down. It's $20 for you. So make sure you write me, give you a physical address, and we'll mail the $20 off to you in an envelope, okay?
Yeah, I'll take a couple ex-witnesses out to lunch. So anyway, I put another gal onto your program. She had been out for over 30 years. I'm not going to say her name, but she didn't know nothing about 6 screens. And she was telling me something interesting that I didn't know. I thought every Kingdom Hall or a couple of Kingdom Halls had a liaison team that would go up to a hospital and stop a blood donation and to save somebody's life, a witness's life. And she was telling me that they have a team at the headquarters, Bethel, that goes out and they fly around the country and they stop blood donations. They interfere with the family that aren't witnesses and what have you. The doctors and everything else are well dressed, well spoken, and they interfere and try to stop a blood donation. she was telling me about that. In fact, she told me about a gentleman that left that team. He's not a witness now, but anyway, it was real interesting to talk to her about it. But I want to leave you with that too.
Well, thank you, Jeff. Always good to hear from you, Jeff. Don't be a stranger. Always good to hear from you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, so I'm wondering, like I just said prior to Jeff coming on, I used to be proud to be a Jehovah's Witness, and the fact that the Watchtower never really begged for donations, but lately they are. Are they feeling the pinch? Are they like the rest of us? I mean, everything is more expensive, right? Homes, cars, insurance, your phone bill, food, rent. Friends, we're all feeling it. Why wouldn't we feel it? We're all feeling the pinch of it all. So, now I'm thinking the average Jehovah's Witness, they're undereducated. Many Jehovah's Witnesses are undereducated because of the teachings and policies of the Watchtower. And now they're expecting Jehovah's Witnesses to donate more when they're just barely making it by. Well, I believe that the Watchtower is seeing the donations in a spiral downward turn. Really, when you stop and think about it, if you tell the rank and file not to pursue higher education, what are you going to expect? I mean, higher education gives people a higher paying job. That means they have more money in their pockets. That means they can give more to Watchtower. But these guys just don't get it. For years, they've been telling the witnesses, don't pursue a higher education. Don't get a good career. I mean, become a window washer. Become have a menial job. And I'm not picking on menial jobs, but I'm just thinking. Now, here's another thought I have about counting time and perhaps why they may have stopped the reporting of time. Maybe they're beginning to realize that their people don't have the money to give to them. So by not having to report time, it means they could spend more time at their job, making more money they could spend and give to the Watchtower. That's just my feelings. What's your feelings? Go ahead. You're on with us. I think you're from the UK once again. Go ahead.
It's Andy again. Can I give I've got two quick comments.
Yeah, go ahead. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Nice and loud. Close to your phone, brother. Close to your phone. Yep.
I've got two comments for you. Number one, Rick, you wanted to start an earthly kingdom and you wanted to name your members, what do you call them? Publishers. I'd like your listeners to have a thought about something. I often hear ex-Jehovah's Witnesses talk about Watchtower in the early days making their money from selling publications door to door. It's wrong. That's not how they made their money. The end product was at the Kingdom Hall. The customer on the doors, from Watchtower's perspective, their end customers for their money was at the Kingdom Hall. We all placed our orders as publishers, and we ordered our magazines in advance. Watchtower knew exactly how many Watchtowers to publish. They delivered them to the Kingdom Halls. We collected them. We paid our money. Watchtower's job was done there and then. They didn't care what happened after that. If they were placed on the doors, financially, their job was done. The publishers were the customers, not the people on the doors at home. Watchtower's business model was really simple. How many members have we got? What are their orders? Print to the order, deliver them, get our money in week on week. It's better than making a newspaper, better than a magazine. They had the perfect business model. They didn't make money by selling magazines on the door. They made their money by selling magazines at the Kingdom Hall. It's different if you stop and think about it. And Rick, that's my comment.
Well, it's a good comment. It's a very good comment. I mean, it's unbelievable. These guys make money from all different directions. It's amazing to me.
Well,
but, yeah,
Rick, they're doing the same now, but now they're doing it with bricks.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad
Hey,
you
Rick,
called.
it's Steve.
I'm glad you called in from the UK. Thank you very much, brother, for doing that. Yeah, let's.
Thanks, Rick.
I'm just
Good
going to
night.
try to get up here on the Six Screens video suite. What we're doing here tonight.
Hey, Rick, it's Steve.
Yeah, Steve. Hi, Steve.
Yeah, Rick, just real briefly, I don't know
Sure.
if anyone saw it or not, or if you had mentioned it previously, but there's a report coming out of Japan that there was 159 reported being sexually abused by Jehovah's Witnesses. So if you type in Jehovah's Witnesses and just go to the news, the article should come up.
Yeah, well, Steve. In fact, I was just looking at that article too. It's amazing what's going on right now in the Watchtower. The governments are starting to come down on the Watchtower big time. So I think that's a wonderful thing. But thank you for sharing that with us. I got a big story. We'll talk about that next week. It's still unfolding right now, the story. Thank you very much, though. Appreciate
Thanks,
it.
Rick.
Yeah, thank you.
you.
All righty. Well, anyways, you're on Six Screens, JW World News, the Watchtower doesn't want us talking about, but we talk about it every Saturday night and every other Sunday right here. I'm going to play a video. I'm going to play a video next that I want you all to see. It's Garrett Loesch. My goodness, I mean, they are asking for money. That's what we've been talking about here tonight. So I want to play this video for you. You're going to get a big kick out of this. These guys are nothing more than charlatans, just like some of these corrupt Christian ministers that come on TV and they want to take and tell you to send money in. You're going to make money and all of this. But they're doing the same thing on JW Broadcasting. I'm going to share this with you right now. Listen in. This is Garrett Loesch. He's a governing body member. Let's listen in right now. Let's see what he has to say. Let's play the clip. All right, let me just get down here. Just play the clip. I want you to hear it. I think you'll find it very, very interesting. This is Garrett Loesch, governing body member. It's about a 2 or 3 minute clip. I want you to listen closely. The Watchtower wants your money.
So what have we learned about giving and tithing? As we have seen, the tithing arrangement provided a wonderful way for God's people to show their love and appreciation for Jehovah and to support pure worship. Imagine also how those who were disadvantaged, the alien residents, widows, and fatherless boys, also appreciated this loving provision. But did you know there was something else very interesting about the tithing arrangement? Nowhere in the scriptures did Jehovah arrange for any human to monitor whether each person was really giving the entire tenth of his produce and his animals. And no one was assigned to enforce compliance with the tithing arrangement. So, although it was required by law, tithing was entirely between the individual Israel.
Just stop there 1 second. It appears as though what the Watchtower is doing here is they're slowly introducing tithing. Yes, they're talking a lot. You notice Brother Loesch, I say Brother Loesch, the governing body member here, Loesch, you watch how many times he talks about tithing. And he talks about giving 10%. Is this a message to the witness world that they have to give 10%? This is in the November broadcasting from JW Streaming. Yes, so I think that you'll find this very interesting. It appears as though the Watchtower is suggesting tithing, even though they're not saying it. Listen closely. Listen to what Loesch says. They are money grubbers. That's all they are. Listen in.
Israelite and Jehovah. Thus, the arrangement allowed each Israelite to demonstrate his personal love for Jehovah. But what if somebody secretly held back and did not give Jehovah the whole tithe, perhaps giving less than a tenth? How would Jehovah feel about that? Would he be inclined to bless those who were stingy? That's not likely. On the other hand, how would Jehovah feel about those who generously gave even more than a tenth? Well, we don't have to guess. Remember when faithful King Hezekiah promoted pure worship and encouraged tithing? What happened? Let's see at 2 Chronicles chapter 31, verses 4 through 6. Furthermore, he commanded the people living in Jerusalem to give the portion to the priests and the Levites so that they might adhere strictly to the law of Jehovah. As soon as...
I'm going to stop right there with Lowe's, but do you get the idea? He's saying how the Israelites tithed. They gave 10% of their money to Jehovah. And he's saying that, those that did were blessed by Jehovah. As a matter of fact, the last scripture here that he uses, I'm not going to get into it. We don't have time, but it suggests that you will prosper. You will prosper because you give money to Jehovah. Really, the donations that they're asking for are just over the top. I cannot believe that they would do this. Did you want to say something, Jeffrey?
Yeah, I wanted to say that when late 80s, early 90s, when I was still in, the word tithing wasn't even there. But many years later, when I was not afraid to go to a regular church, they talked about tithing, and that's donations. So there you go.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, for many years when we were witnesses, Jeffrey, you can remember too, they weren't asking for the money like they are now. So here is Loesch.
No,
that is in the November broadcasting update. That's just recently. His governing body member, Loesch, telling people to basically give 10%, even though he doesn't come out and say it emphatically. But that's a suggestion that he's giving to people, is to give 10%, just like the Israelites did in tithing. But I'm going to play some other videos here. I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. And the Watchtower is doing the same thing. Now, listen to this. I think you'll find it very fascinating.
Exactly.
Listen in.
We can honor Jehovah. What first might come to mind are our material possessions, our finances.
Various begging devices in the name of our Lord is offensive, unacceptable to him.
Well, that is true.
It is our judgment that money raised by the various begging devices in the name of our Lord is offensive.
What are the valuable things with which we can honor Jehovah? What first might come to mind are our material possessions, our finances.
Various begging devices in the name of our Lord is offensive, unacceptable to him.
Well, that is true.
Well, I played that a couple of times. I wanted you to hear that, but it is offensive. Tony Morris is saying that. And here they are saying it's offensive, but they're doing the very thing that some of these charlatans in Christendom are doing. I'm going to play you something. I'm going to play you something that I want you to just relate to. See if you can't find the correlation. See if you can't find the connection with this next video that I'm going to play to you. I know you're going to find it fascinating. Let me just get it up here right now. The Watchtower is just going over the top. More and more money is what they're looking for. More and more money. Let's do this. I want to play this for you. And you tell me what you think. Let's see if we can get this up here. I want to get the right tab. Okay, selling. Okay, right here. Let's listen into this. I think you'll find it very fascinating.
In any bookstore in the world, wherever you go, it's my seed. It's just come off the press. I want to sow this as a seed because I believe in David's Shalom. I believe in Inspiration Networks. I believe in this ministry. And what I make happen for others, God will make happen for me. Somebody's son is going to be set free from alcohol because of your $1,000 seed. Somebody is going to avoid a divorce because of the $1,000 seed. Some girl on drugs whose mama's been praying for her is going to be set free from drugs because of the $1,000. And what I make happen for others, Ephesians 6:8, God will make happen for me. I don't want you to call until I finish my prayer. And as soon as I finish my prayer, I want you to go to the phone, dial the number on the screen, and simply say, I'm one of the 1,000. I'm going to faith in somehow in 90 days, $1,000 seed. You may already have the 1,000. It may be something you put aside for retirement or a college or a vacation. You may have put some money aside that nobody knows about, and God's giving you a picture. It may be in the bottom of your closet, maybe in a sock, maybe between your mattresses. It may be an account that nobody knows about, but you and God. That's not your harvest. That $1,000 won't get you anywhere until God touches it. Everything God touches multiplies. Precious Holy Spirit, I ask you for 1,000 miracles within 90 days. I don't know who the 1,000 people are, but there's 1,000 watching me that needs a harvest much more than they need the seed. They know, like I know, that they can't do very much with 1,000. Probably can't buy a real good sofa with 1,000.
All right, so now enough of that, but you get the point. I think you get the point. What is the difference? You saw Tony Morris. You just saw governing body member Loesch. You've seen Stephen Lett all asking for money. What's the difference between them and Michael Murdoch? Send us the money and you'll be blessed. They're saying the same thing on the JW broadcast this month. It is disgusting. It really is disgusting. Watchtower, friends, I'm telling you, is getting real greedy. There's no doubt about it.
Hey, Rick.
Yes.
Yeah, they definitely brought in the money changers. The very ones Jesus said kick them the hell out of the temple. They're full of money changers. And like you said, they weren't in there when we were in there. Those were bragging rights we had that we didn't collect, we didn't ask for money. And even up to, about 10 years ago, my uncle lectured me on, where do we get our money? We don't ask for money from nobody. But I think this, Rick, I think the reason they make it so damn easy to stay in is so they can hustle you. That's my perspective. I think the reason they've cut the hours back, cut the meetings back, cut, all that stuff back, you don't have to turn in time because, like I said, I was walking down the street, a couple of years back, and a brother saw me, and he says, "Hey, Dan, you got to come back. It's easy now." And I thought, easy? I thought we're supposed to be doing it all the more so as we behold the day drawing near. But here's the thing, Rick. If they can keep them in, they could squeeze their asses, and that's what they're doing. And I said a long time ago that while they're under brainwashing, they're going to use that Bible, and they're going to squeeze them for every penny. They're going to shake their asses upside down. And I've said, hold on to your wallet. And the other thing is, I'm sorry to say this, Rick, but the people that are still there, they're lazy brained. I know they're brainwashed, but there's so much evidence that if they've been told, get out, get out, get out. And because they want to be lazy, because I know they're brainwashed, but it's at a point now where it's ridiculous. You're just a lazy ass if you're a Jehovah's Witness. I'm sorry to say that, but you have been warned. You've seen the false prophecies. You've seen the lying in the Australian Commission. You've seen the hiding of pedophiles. You've seen the dirt on these guys. And the fact that you stay in, shame on you for those who are still in, because you've been told by God to get out. And it says when you see these things, when you see the false prophets, do not fear them. Just walk away, get out. But since they don't get out, Rick, they get hustled. And they get turned upside down and shaken for every penny. And you know what? I was just saying before the show, there's going to be a first tithe. There's going to be a second tithe. There's going to be a third tithe. There's going to be tithe on the building work, tithe on this. This shit's going to go wild. And it just burns me up. It just burns me up to be outside of it now and to watch people get hustled by money changers. Do you feel the same, Rick?
Oh, exactly, Dan. Exactly. I mean, there's no other way to explain it. That's exactly what's going on in this organization. They're squeezing everybody.
Hey, Rick.
They are squeezing everybody. Yeah. It's unbelievable. Yeah. Thank you.
Every penny, Rick. Everything they got. And here's why, Rick. Nobody's coming in. Nobody's coming into this thing. It's an authoritarian, dying org. So what do? You
You squeeze the shit out of the people that are in there. And you know, unfortunately, they've been warned, if you don't get out, you're going to suffer under the hand of this Babylon the Great.
Well, very good
Hi,
comment.
Rick.
A very good comment. Yeah, go ahead. You run with us. Go ahead, sir.
Hi. Well, I'm from the UK, and I was actually the congregation secretary up to a year ago. So I understand fully how the organisation obtains its money. One of the things that the brothers don't really quite grasp is how the funds are managed after they've donated them. So one of the jobs of the congregation secretary is to monitor the accounts. They don't actually do the accounts themselves. You have an account servant, but what they do is they look to see how the balance builds up. So each congregation has to work out what their running costs are each month, and they would have 3 months working capital. Any funds that go over that are to be automatically sent to the branch. So the funds within the bank account are kept to the absolute minimum. And the circuit overseer, when he arrives twice a year, he will check to make sure that there are no funds building up in the congregation's account. Now, the congregation I was in, the brothers were very generous. I mean, we would probably take between £800 and £1,000 a month. And our working capital was, what, £500? Now, that £500 was made up by a fee that the branch gave the congregation. So each publisher had a sort of a fee on their head. And in our case, it was £6 per publisher. So if you had 100 publishers, that's £600 a month that you owed the branch. Now, they said that was to pay for, you know, facilities, the running costs of the circuit overseer, his car, all of those things. And that fee would, you know, each year would go up, even insurance to cover the potential loss of a Kingdom Hall, for example. So, and even if we had a circuit assembly, there would be a fee on each publisher. I think in our case, it was £9 a head. And that immediately gave the circuit a debt that had to be paid at the end of the assembly. Now, I don't know how things work in the United States, but here in the UK, they took each congregation under what's called the KHT, which is the Kingdom Hall Trust. It's a charity. And this came into play when the Charity Commission started to look into the activities of Jehovah's Witnesses with regards to CSA. And I think because they had several issues with some congregations as separate charities, they decided to take them all under one umbrella. But that meant we no longer have bank accounts. All of our bank accounts now sit with the branch. So whilst they say, you know, you've got to hand us over this money, they've got the money anyway. It sits with them in a virtual bank account, and we can take funds from it to pay bills that we need to, and obviously we pay the branch out of those funds.
Well, that's I mean, I think you would notice, or at least acknowledge, that the Watchtower is greedy. They want to take all the money. They don't want the congregations.
They want to make sure that all funds are available. The way that the branch views things is they're dedicated funds. It already belongs to them. So they just try to make an appearance of being fair. But each congregation obviously has bills to pay. But in the UK especially, they've taken more control of those bills. So we don't get bills, say, for internet. We don't get gas and electric bills. They've even introduced the congregation to organising their own Amazon account so that they can purchase cleaning materials and toilet rolls and things like that for the congregation. and then that would be paid out of this virtual account that they have with the branch.
Well, thank you for sharing that with us, brother. And I really appreciate you coming in here tonight. I think this is the first time calling in, huh?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Thank you for
bit of a nerve-wracking experience.
Well, thank you for
It's
calling
one of those
in.
steps you take.
Yeah, well, it's good you did that.
It's been a year since I left the organisation. Not because of this. This was part of. It was a messy business when we changed over to joining the KHT, because the congregation had to give up all its assets. That included the Kingdom Hall. So all of those things were just handed over to the branch without any question.
Well,
we had to dissolve. We had to dissolve our charity as well, and of course all that was worked out in advance by the organisation, and we just followed their lead.
Well, thank you very much for calling in. Now, I know it costs you a lot of money too to call in from the United Kingdom, but we do have an app, and anyone listening in.
I am on your app.
Oh, you're on the app?
I am using the app.
Okay, we do have an app.
I believe so. I hope so.
Okay, yeah, you are. That's that. Okay, I do see you on the app. But I just want to mention to the people listening in tonight, we have an app here. You can call in from most countries all around the world for free. So if you'd like to get the app, why don't you do this? Write me at jwworldnews@gmail.com. jwworldnews@gmail.com. I'll send you the information how to get the app. And like a caller calling in from the United Kingdom tonight, you can call them for free, and we get to hear you so good. Thank you very much, caller, for coming in. Thank you. Okay, let's go down to New York. Should we go to Shirley? Was she just on?
But I wanted to say, Rick, the word tithing, I can't believe they're using that word. That used to be back in the day the selling point when my mother used to talk to people, always bragging. Oh, witness, those who are interested in churches use the word tithing. So, one thing witnesses never do, tithing, you will never hear that word from Jehovah's Witnesses. Now look what they're saying. And what happened to the contribution? Remember that big contribution box at the assemblies? Always an older sister sitting next to them. They don't even say contribution or donate anymore. They went straight to tithing, like Christendom, tithing like the churches do.
Yeah, and I mean,
straight to the word tithing.
They condemned it for so many years, and there he was, Brother Loesch. I say Brother Loesch, he's not my brother, but Brother Loesch was on there with the broadcasting this month. I don't know. I think I counted at least 10, 12 times. He said tithing, 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 and he made it clear. I mean, perfectly clear, 10% or more. 10%. How, in goodness name's sake, with the way the economy is today, Shirley, how can the witnesses afford to give them 10+% of their income to the Watchtower? But they'll do it. Many witnesses will do it.
But see, that's what Christendom does to other churches. Some say they give a certain percent to their church.
Yeah.
And that's not what my mother said back in the day. Oh, you never hear the witnesses use the word tithing. Wherever, if there's a heaven or wherever the dead Jehovah's Witnesses are, I just hope they can hear. However, afterlife, whatever. I just hope they're hearing this with the word tithing. Because that's just like over the edge. This is just one of the many things that this one I really can't believe.
Well, I'm going to give you something else you can't believe. I checked out, well, they have what they call a giving desk at the Watchtower. And they tell people around this time of year, November, we're getting close to Christmas, the end of the year. So people get into like a festive mood. So the Watchtower is asking people to give them anything they have, insurance policies, jewelry, leave them in your will. It's unreal. But then also, and I talked about this before on the 6 screen, but they're really pushing the idea of the witnesses donating their rewards points. Now, we know the reward points. People have credit cards, they get rewards. I get rewards at Walgreens when I buy products at Walgreens. So a lot of places offer rewards, the airlines when you travel. So the Watchtower is even saying, send us your reward points. And I mean, I think that's pretty low. That's hitting pretty much below the belt. I mean, what do they want? Everything, jewelry, rewards points, anything that they can get from you, your will, anything they will take. And it's just absolutely disgusting. But yet they keep saying that, we're not like the churches of Christendom. They're worse.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they're worse.
Yeah, rewards points. I've never heard of that in the other churches. Rewards points.
No, they'll take that too. I like the rewards. I think it's kind of nice. I have a credit card that gives you rewards, and I think it's kind of neat to look at the end of the month and say, gee, I made 10, 20, 30 bucks in rewards, and they want that. Geez, they'll take anything. They're squeezing the people like crazy. It's unbelievable, Shirley. Unbelievable.
Like I said, I just hope wherever the people go when you die, I hope the JWs are all together somewhere and hearing tithing, hearing this.
Oh my
The
God.
witnesses from back in the day. I just hope they're hearing this.
Well, they are hearing it, but always good to hear from you, Shirley. Thank you for checking in with us tonight. Thank you.
Okay.
All right. Well, you guys have heard it.
Hey, Rick.
Yes, go ahead. You're on with us.
Hey, it's Eric.
Yes, Eric.
Doesn't it seem like it was a governing body member, Jeffrey Jackson, that fat bastard, and he was in the Australian Royal Commission, and he said that we're not a religion made up of lawyers. But after everything that you brought up tonight, doesn't it seem like that they are a organization made of lawyers and, say, accountants? Because it's donate, 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 and them constantly covering their ass through the elders book and all kinds of policies, even getting rid of the time. Do you think that's a possibility that they actually are run by these men, and that's why they're making such bad decisions?
Well, it's obviously there's a lot of legal maneuvering that takes place. Mind control takes place. The average Jehovah's Witness, as you know, Eric, I mean, you have relatives. They're willing to do anything for the Watchtower. If the Watchtower told them to jump off a bridge, they'd probably do it, right? Anything.
Rick, I remember when my mom and dad would use that against me all the time. And here I am, a 42-year-old man, and my parents are in their mid-60s. And I feel like I have to say to them, if Watchtower told you to jump off a freaking bridge, would you do it? They haven't left the mentality of like an 18 or 20-year-old. Because that's what Watchtower does. They stunt your growth. They stunt your financial success. They stunt your education, your critical thinking ability. They stunt your third eye, the little pineal gland that's in the middle of between your nose and your eyes, something that connects you to God. And they mess up all our chakras. They make us inhuman. It's I don't know.
Well,
I rented enough.
Well, Eric, think about it. They're good at it. I have to give them credit. Yeah. They're very good at manipulating people. Whatever techniques they're using, whether it's ultra mind control or whether it's just good salesmanship or whatever techniques they're using, it works for them. And they raise tons of money, billions and billions of dollars, because they can manipulate the people. But it's sad. It's really sad. I'm glad you're out of it, Eric. I'm glad that Satan kicked me as well out of his organization.
Yeah. I'm glad he kicked us all out.
Yeah, I'll tell you.
Even though there's so much loss, at least we think about this. The witnesses at some point, they are going to have to abandon their religion because it's not going to be around forever. I mean, not forever. And when that day comes, it's going to be that much harder on them because we've already let it go. We've already moved on with our lives. Yeah, there's things that are holding us back, our family members and stuff. But they have to go, what? Because we were doubting it. We saw the truth of the truth, and so we had doubts. But our families and friends are not seeing the doubts. They're going to go down with the ship, and it's going to be painful because the Titanic is sinking, and there's no way for them to take the water out of the boat anymore.
Well, I'm so glad you came on, Eric, because I was just talking to Daniel earlier.
Rick.
Now, next week we have Eric and Daniel. You know Daniel, he's been on here a number of times. He had a program once along with Apostle Babe. And Daniel will be coming back beginning next week along with Eric. They're forming a program together. So they will be here next Saturday night at 9:30 with a brand new program, Exposing the Watchtower. So don't miss that. That's next Saturday night. And you just heard from Eric, and then Daniel will be on with him. Looking forward to it.
Rick.
Yeah.
Do you want me to announce the name of the show that Daniel and I came up with?
I'd love to have you announce it. Go ahead. Yeah.
We were both spitballing and just felt off each other's energy, and we came up. I said a couple things, and then he made it better. The Awakening After the Watchtower.
Well, I like it. Awakening. Well, we all got woke up, if you want to say that. Yes, we have. So that's a good name. So looking forward to your program next Saturday night.
Can I say something to Rick real quick?
Yes, go ahead, King of Dots. Yeah, go ahead, King of Dots. Yep.
What he talked about, the pineal gland between the eyes, there is a book from about 20 years ago called The God Spot. And that's all I recall. But apparently when they did MRIs of people who were praying, they wanted them to pray, and they did MRIs. It emanated from that part of the forehead between the eyes. So this is a real thing. So maybe he can look up the God Spot. I think people will be very interested in that. But I did want to say, Rick, it's hard to comment on your show anymore because people are so intelligent. I mean, they're exponentially increasing in their God Spot, so to speak. But I found out, I watch Bloomberg Financial News every day. Apparently, senior citizens, retirees, are wealthier than they've ever been in the last 45 years. So we're all being inundated, be hit up for money. I mean, 90% of my mail is people hitting me up constantly. I'm 68. I'm sure you're experiencing the same thing, Rick. And the problem is Watchtower's doing it too. They know that. Trust me, most of this is going to be directed towards senior citizens. In fact, they're acting just like the world. And that's pretty much my comment. Thank you.
Well, it's a darn good comment. I believe everything you said there, King.
Of course it is. Of course it's a darn good comment. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. All right, well, there you go. That's King of Dots. Now, we have got more things happening here on the six screens. We got Joe and Fran. Now, they have got a guest coming on. Now, this guest went to the protest down there in Washington, D.C. I want you to hear his story. You're going to be on the edge of your seat. He's a good man. And he's coming on next. Joe and Fran are going to be interviewing him. But, friends, I want to tell you, if you're listening to this program, do you like the program? I mean, do you like the program? It's not just me, but don't you love all the callers calling in? Why don't you do this? Why don't you like us on Facebook? Why don't you subscribe to us on YouTube? Just hit the button. Yeah, and I'm not making any money from this. It's not even monetized. But I just wanted to say that we're moving in the right direction. I wanted to tell you that we are planning for a convention. We are planning for a convention in 2025. I'm not sure where it will be. At this point, it looks like maybe Chicago area, but an ex-Jehovah's Witness convention. We're going to call it Still Alive Till 25. So think about it. Would love to have you. I'm going to get a convention site. We're going to have an ex-convention for ex-witnesses. I mean, an ex-witness convention. We're going to have a great time. So it's a couple of years from now. So give it a thought. Give me some information. If you have some ideas on it, write me at jwworldnews@gmail.com, jwworldnews@gmail.com, and say, hey, Rick, I'm interested in the convention. We get enough interest. I really want to go forward with it. We'll have the first ex-Jehovah's Witness convention. Gilbert Gonzalez, go ahead. What do you want to say, Gilbert?
Hey, Rick. I love the idea about the convention, and and I love the idea of you going to Chicago. But you know what? I was just thinking, just an opinion. You're trying to do one huge convention, but how Watchtower does these conventions is they have a whole bunch of small conventions like the circuit, and then they gear up to the big one, the international. So what I was thinking in 2024, Watchtower has the convention for 2024. It's called Declare the Good News. So if if everyone has these mini conventions all over the United States, these mini meetups, and they go and they let you know about it, like on Saturday, right? You know, they say, hey, hey, Rick, we're over here in Miami. Hey, we're over here. What you're doing is you're building momentum. So a group of us have decided we can't wait till 2025 because, you know, the government's devaluing our dollar. We want to spend it now before Armageddon comes. And we're going to have the convention in the best place in the whole world. Rick, we're going to have it in a pyramid in Las Vegas at the Luxor Hotel. What better place to have a convention meetup than at a pyramid?
Well,
are you with me?
I'm with you. I'm with you. I mean, there was a little take on Charles Stays Russell, but you know, we have to look.
Yeah.
We have to look at the amount of money that's involved. It's not cheap to rent a convention center, and get all the speakers there and all of that. So we have to take that into consideration, which we are. Yeah. So we're looking forward to some type of a convention. Yeah.
So what I'm saying is that everybody in their prospective state. So if you live in Florida, if you live in California, if you live wherever, you know, gear it up. Like, start doing it. Start getting into that habit of doing those meetups. Start getting into that habit of getting together. Because when the big one comes in 2025, I mean, you want to be prepared. You want to be like, yeah, I've been, you know, I have a few of these under my belt.
Yeah, no,
So
I know. It's a good idea. I mean, but you know, it's more work. I mean, to have a number,
yes, I understand.
A little convention. I mean, it's a lot of work putting anything together like that.
Yeah,
so,
anything together. So what I'm saying is, you do Chicago, and I'm going to be behind you.
Yeah,
but we're definitely going to have to do something in the Luxor Hotel in Las Vegas because we owe it to Brother Russell.
Well, we'll look at that. I mean, I don't look at, you know, if this first convention goes over pretty successful, we'll have more of them. Maybe every 6 months.
No.
Yeah.
You misunderstood me. I don't want you to do the Luxor because this is the whole thing. I want you to like appoint me like a district overseer, like to do my own, you know, like, you know, Gilbert, I'm in the world headquarters in JW World News. You know, you go, you're my district overseer. You do the one in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
And report to world headquarters. And that's the thing. That way we take the load off of just one group of people.
Well, no, that's a good idea. No, I'll talk to you more about that. I mean, I'd support something like that as well. But I think we can, in view of that protest that was down in Washington, D.C., there was over 200 people that showed up. So, you know, not everyone wants to protest. But I mean, I saw when that protest was over, people were hugging each other. They were shaking hands. They were even kissing each other, many people. And I'm thinking, geez, what a great arrangement that was. But, you know, a lot of people would get together for a convention that didn't want to come to a protest. So I would think we could at least get 500 people. I really mean that, Gilbert. I really think we could do it, you know?
And this is the reason why, because a lot of people, like you're saying, are leaving Watchtower, and a lot of people just have questions. They need to be able to go somewhere where they can just talk to people, right? And that's what these, like you're talking about, these meetings are for. They're there, not really for us, but they're there for the people that are barely coming out. And we should be anticipating a big exodus from the Watchtower. And we want to be, this is why I say we need all hands on deck. So when I talk about Las Vegas, Rick, I'm not asking you to have anything to do with it. I'm saying, you know, this is something I definitely can do with a small group, and we can start getting prepared for the big one in 2025.
Yeah, well, let's talk about it more. We're going to talk about it every week here on the 6 screens. And I've got so many emails of people said, Rick, count me in. I'm coming. So, but I'll tell you, it could be a great event. Wouldn't it be wonderful to meet some of the ex-witnesses, and we can have some speakers come in and tell their story, and we can have testimonies. I think it would be one of the biggest occasions in all of our life. It would be wonderful. Thank you, Gilbert. Thank you.
Absolutely. All right. Thank you, buddy. Bye.
All right. Well, listen, we got Fran and Joe. They're coming up next right here on the 6 screens. So let's look forward to their program. And there'll be no 6 screen Sunday tomorrow. That's every other week. But we want you all to keep standing tall. Don't you ever give in, up, or out. I want you to keep waving that flag of victory. And the last one leaving the Watchtower, please turn off the new light. We will see you in the Fran and Joe show coming up next, The Outside Story. Thank you for commenting, all those that did, and all those that are commenting as well in our streaming. Thank you.